it was two things can be true. Number one is the NBA got $76 billion. They're good.
Yeah,
Number
right.
two, hockey, baseball, MLS, and the NBA regular seasons will never matter as much as they used to because there's just too much content. We're all distracted. Young people don't watch as much television. And I was looking at the game last night between the T-Wolves and OKC, and I was thinking, oh, yeah, this isn't going to work. This is not going to pull a number. The Knicks Pacers will. But I was watching Minnesota OKC, and I'm like, this is Adam Silver's want. This is the league he wants. He doesn't want stacked teams. He inherited that league from David Stern. He's a very, if not idealistic, he's kind of he's very pro-employee. Like he listens to his employees. David Stern could bulldoze you. This is what I'm going to do. He had 2 or 3 agents and 5 or 6 owners he was close to. Silver is more about the collaborative and the fabric of the league, but he also inherited a very successful league from Stern. Stern ended up trying to kind of save the league. So David was like Nike, Jordan, Magic Bird, big markets. That's what we're going to do. So it's a different time. But I think this is now the NBA with a new CABA that Adam Silver wanted. But I watched, two things can be true. I watched Minnesota and Oklahoma City. I think that will get a dreadful national number. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong, but I also don't care. Like, I'm not a television executive. I'm not in business with, I'm not in business with the NBA. I don't care. I think that we should be talking about it on our shows because I think sports fans will watch it. Will they watch it at the exact same clip as the Eastern Conference Finals? No, obviously not. Market size, relevance, people know New York, all of those sort of things. That's all fine. I have a lot of thoughts on last night's game, the Thunder, the discourse, but we can start with your premise about the league that Adam Silver wants. This is a historic time for the NBA. This will be the first time ever that there are 7 different champions in 7 years. No back-to-backs, but last 7 years, 7 different organizations will have won the NBA title. And so I looked it up. Heyday of the NBA, everyone says, is, Bird, Magic, Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Lakers, right? 1980 through the early 2000s. If you go from the 1980 NBA Finals, when Magic Johnson came in and played center and replaced Kareem, maybe the most famous game of his career, through just before the Dwayne Wade Shaq Heat title. 26 years, 1980 to 2005. 7 different teams won a championship.
Yeah.
So the heyday of the NBA, 25, 26 years, 7 champions. Now 7 champions in 7 years. Dynasties are good for sports. They make people care. You love them. You hate them. You have opinions. They are good for national ratings. But I do think that in the long run, even if there is a 5% dip, a 10% dip in ratings, I do think long term this will be good for the NBA because there will be some belief that I think they will legitimately be able to sell of anybody can win.
Listen to this. I just got this from our Goldie, our producer. Just sent me this. T-Wolves Thunder game 1 down 24% from last year. Least watched game 1 conference finals since 2021. There you go.
Okay, fine. So like small markets, people that not everybody knows yet, but also a blowout. Like let's see how that goes over the course of time. Also, this is you're a media observer. Okay. I understand why the Western Conference Finals have to start later than the Eastern Conference Finals. But when it ends up being Oklahoma City and Minnesota, does it have to be 8:30 Eastern?
Right.
Am I crazy? Like the Eastern Conference Finals will start at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if it was Lakers Warriors, I get why they need every minute possible to try to pack the building and respect the people leaving work on the West Coast. And I know that these things are predetermined ahead of time. Eastern Conference games are going to start at 8. Western Conference games are going to start at 8:30. But when it's 2 teams in the Central Time Zone, that game ends after 11 p.m. Eastern on a school night. That can't help. That can't help what you're talking about with the ratings. So I wish that they had a little bit more flexibility when it comes to scheduling.
Sorry to interrupt this great video, but please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video. The other thing I thought about last night, is that I don't know how many shots Ant took. It was like 13 or something. He didn't shoot.
13. Yeah.
And he's a great player. But this is the difference how great Michael Jordan was. Jordan last night, probably in a losing cause if he played for Minnesota, would have taken 39 shots. Is that Michael never had a game that I can remember, a big one, even the flu game where you're like, Michael took 13 shots. His generation, Michael didn't care.
Yeah.
Michael was going to go down. Michael's the most relentlessly competitive person I've ever seen. I mean, Magic, Bird, everybody, LeBron, Steph, it doesn't matter. Is that Jason Tatum? There are times I'm like, is he on the floor? Last night in the second half, I'm like, is Ant playing? Is that everybody's rich in the league? It's a much more, collaborative. I mean, Michael Jordan had no problem saying, "Hey, Republicans buy shoes too." I'm not talking politics. If it'd be hard to say that today as a professional athlete. You get just destroyed by the collective, the media collective. But that's the difference. When people haven't seen Michael play, I always say that Michael never had a game or a moment where you went, "Is Michael on the floor?" I mean, I remember a game against Utah in the finals. I remember a game against Phoenix in the finals. He took a jumper from the angle. It hit backboard and floor. It didn't hit rim. It was a terrible shot. They had games against Utah where he was like 7 for 33. But there was something about everybody being rich and everybody has the same four agents and they all like each other, that there is a real sense there's tomorrow. Don't expend your energy. And I watched Minnesota the second half, and I'm like, oh, they're done tonight. They're done tonight.
They were clearly done early. Listen, I will give Anthony Edwards he went back to the locker room with the ankle injury, and I don't know how much pain he was in. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe, right? But here's the thing about last night's game. I was appalled at some of the discourse of SGA's a foul merchant. The Thunder aren't watchable. I don't like their brand of basketball. I know he was just announced as the MVP, but he hadn't won the MVP yet. He has no finals appearances. He has no rings. If people are already sick of the Thunder and you're an actual basketball fan, the next 10 years of your basketball viewing are going to be miserable. They're the youngest playoff team in the league. They're younger than the Pistons. Their oldest starter is 27 years old. Shai is 26. Jalen Williams and Chet are like 23 each. And Sam Presti's the best executive in the sport. Their coach was a finalist for Coach of the Year after winning it last year. And they have every draft pick for the next decade. And people are like, SGA's a foul merchant. They talk about him like he's James Harden. He drives to the rim more than any player in the league. Not this year, not these playoffs. For 5 straight years, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has led the NBA in drives to the basket. Minnesota took 51 threes last night.
Right.
Oklahoma City took 21. And the free throw discrepancy was 5. And people were like, oh, the refs are in it for small market Oklahoma City and 0-time MVP SGA. No, that's how he plays.
Right.
And so, that game was a blowout. Ant got hurt. There was no reason to watch the fourth quarter of the game. The ratings were down. Okay, fine. But, man, I don't understand how people all year can be like, they don't play defense, like the collective league. The league doesn't play defense, and all they do is shoot threes. And now you have a young, up-and-coming, historically great defensive team with a guy who scores from everywhere on the floor, and you're like, I hate that too. Like, is anybody satisfied? Like, do we have to bring Michael Jordan back from his fishing boat to play? Is that the only way people will not complain during an NBA game? It drives me insane.
Yeah, no, and let me throw a theory at you. I talked about it on my show today. I think you'll like this. So I talked about it for, as you can do on our show, for 4 minutes. I could talk about it with you for 10. So one of the things I love about sports, I think you know this, theories, cultural changes, trying to see them as they're happening in real time, right? So take out the last two. Zach Edey made the all-rookie team. Okay. 3 years ago, it's like, can't play, just a college guy. Why was everybody so wrong? A year ago, Mark Few's like, if he can't play NBA, it's an NBA problem. Danny Hurley's like, you can't tell me he's not an NBA player. He's the hardest guy I've ever done a game prep for. There's no way we're going to stop him. Mark Few said, all my years at Gonzaga, hardest player to defend. We have nobody in the program. And then he hits. The UConn team that had two guys make the all-rookie team, the big in Portland, and then a Donovan, oh, God.
What, Klingon?
Yes, Klingon, my bad.
Yeah.
And then the kid from San Antonio, Stephen Castle.
Yeah.
So two things have happened in the last 2 years of college basketball. Zach Edey's dominance translated to the NBA, and that UConn team that crushed people, even in the tournament, really was full of excellent NBA players. Why do I say that? Because for the previous 20 years, guys like Doug McDermott won Player of the Year and were at best rotational players. So why is this happening? Right. NIL has saved college basketball. So NIL is keeping guys like Zach Edey, NBA guys, in one more year, or they choose college over G League or international. A story today that Real Madrid and Barcelona's amateur teams, and this Spain has all the great European young players, they're thinking of folding the league because American NIL money is taking all the European kids over here. So what is happening? So this European system that we were so enamored with, oh no, those kids are not going to play college. The G Leaguers are going to play college. What does it do? First two rounds this year, March Madness, highest in 32 years. The quality was much better. Houston, yep. Florida, UConn. Well, those are NBA players. So we went through about a 20-year cycle, kind of at the end of Grant Hill and those kind of guys, Larry Johnson and all that stuff, right? Those are, if you dominated college, you were going to be a good pro. And then when about 25, 30 years, you're like Jimmer Fredette, Doug McDermott, Tyler Hansbrough. You could dominate college and be a rotational player. And I think it hurt the quality of the game. But between that Barcelona story, between the ratings and Zach Edey and the UConn guys, what you're seeing now is college basketball is a rebirth. That when you're watching it in March and a guy is dominating, so long story. Yeah. What does this mean? What does this mean in terms of OKC? They have stockpiled all these draft picks. And we always assumed OKC, Danny, was going to use those picks to get a Giannis. Don't give those picks up. The draft now is going to be like this year's draft. You're like, oh, there's like 7 domestic players in the top 10, and they're all really, really good. Is that the idea that you give out your picks for Giannis? If you don't like OKC now, with all those picks, these are going to be NBA players coming out of college now that can play almost immediately.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And the guy who accumulated the picks happens to have a better record in both eras of what you're talking about of nailing the picks. So like Sam Presti, everybody has misses, but he has fewer than most. Like he traded for SGA, but on his rookie deal. Like SGA was just available and he traded for him and he sniped him. He traded, this is not a college player, not a young player, so not a perfect example, but like Alex Caruso wins them game 7. Alex Caruso was on the Lakers. They offered him 3 years, $21 million. The Bulls offered him 3 for 37 in restricted free agency. And the Lakers were like, no, we'd rather have Talen Horton-Tucker. So he went to Chicago. Then the Bulls trade Alex Caruso to Sam Presti for Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, nice player, fills up the stat sheet, fun, young, high upside guy. Not saying anything bad about Josh Giddey. But Alex Caruso clearly is a championship pedigree player, elite defensive player. And Sam Presti has approximately 327 extra draft picks. And the Bulls couldn't get one of them in that trade for Alex Caruso. I read that trade and I was like, oh, that's funny. They got Josh Giddey, but like, well, what's the draft pick? And it never came. So Sam Presti is just great at this. He's great at it. And I agree with you. They will keep a lot of those assets. You can only have 12 guys on a team, and like they traded Josh Giddey
Yeah.
because there wasn't a spot for him. Like they had
Right.
too many good young backcourt players that were cheap. That's not a problem most teams have. So I don't think he'll use every draft pick,
That's right.
but he can go out and get any player he wants whenever he decides to cash his chips in. I don't think it'll be for Giannis, but I think it'll be for cheap labor because they want guys on their rookie deal who they can sign to second contracts because free agents aren't historically going to choose Oklahoma City. And he can just say, "Oh, what's the one thing we're not elite at? 3-point shooting? Who's the best 3 and D guy in the NBA on a rookie contract? I want him." And he can go get him. Like that's what I don't think people completely understand about what Oklahoma like if Oklahoma City said we want Giannis, they would win. If Oklahoma City said we want Durant, they would win. If fill in the blank superstar becomes disgruntled and if the Mavericks were like, we're going to hold a bidding war for Luka Doncic and Sam Presti's like, I want him, they would win. They have more assets than everybody in the league and it isn't particularly close. So I don't know how he'll use the poker chips, but I know that he's more likely than not going to be right. He will prioritize young, cheap labor. And to your point, he's not going to trade as many of the draft picks as people think because he's excellent at drafting.